They'd spent 40 years saving for their dream retirement home. But when the moving truck pulled up, the address didn't even exist. Tom and Linda Miller had spent over 40 years teaching history and math at a small-town high school in Ohio. They weren't rich. They weren't lucky. But they were steady, the kind of couple who saved every receipt, paid every bill on time, and dreamed of one thing: peace. When their final paychecks came in, they sat at the kitchen table, the same table they'd bought as newlyweds, and said to each other, "Let's find a place where we can finally rest." Warm weather. Mornings by the beach. A porch swing. A cup of coffee. That was their version of paradise. Linda had always wanted to live by the ocean. She said the sound of waves made her feel like the world was still gentle, like time could finally slow down. Tom agreed. He'd spent decades grading papers late into the night. He just wanted to breathe again. One evening, as they scrolled through listings online, Linda found it. A banner ad popped up on her screen. Luxury coastal retirement living. Pre-construction units starting at $180,000. The photos were breathtaking. White balconies overlooking turquoise water. Palm trees swaying. Couples their age walking hand in hand along golden sand. There was even a video tour, glossy, professional, narrated by a calm voice saying, "Welcome to Ocean Breeze Estates, where retirement feels like forever vacation." It looked perfect. The next day, they clicked Contact Agent. Within minutes, an email arrived. A man named Ryan Jacobs introduced himself as the Senior Property Specialist. He wrote, "Tom and Linda, you've picked the best time. Prices are low, but interest is sky high. We only have 2 ocean view units left." He sounded friendly, polite, respectful, like someone who understood them. He mentioned working with retiree clients from all over the country. He even said his own parents had just moved to Florida after retirement. Tom felt comfortable. Linda said, "He sounds genuine." They set up a Zoom call that weekend. Ryan appeared on screen in a crisp white shirt, with palm trees behind him and the faint sound of waves. He smiled warmly. He said all the right things. "This isn't just a condo, Tom. It's your reward. You've earned this life." He guided them through the website, page by page, showing 3D tours, reviews from other buyers, and official permits with government seals. The paperwork looked flawless. Every document had a logo, a serial number, even digital signatures. When Tom asked if it was safe, Ryan laughed lightly and said, "I get that question a lot. You're dealing directly with a developer, completely FDIC verified. And remember, these are pre-construction prices. Once we launch, value doubles." It was everything they wanted to hear. Linda's eyes sparkled as she imagined their mornings by the water. She even showed her sister the photos. "Look, this is where we'll be by Christmas." The excitement built over days. Emails came in regularly from Ryan, photos of the progress, drone shots of construction sites, digital blueprints with approved stamps. He even sent them brochures in the mail, glossy pages showing the same palm trees and ocean breeze that had caught their hearts online. He spoke with charm, never rushing them, never pressuring, just reassuring. He said things like, "My parents love their place here. I'd hate to see you miss out. You two remind me so much of them, hard-working, kind, humble." It felt personal. It felt honest. Linda said one night, while setting the table for dinner, "You know, he talks to us like family." And Tom nodded, smiling, because for once, life finally felt right. Everything, all the saving, all the years of small sacrifices, seemed to be leading to this moment. Their dream home was waiting. Their golden years were finally beginning. And Ryan Jacobs had made them believe it. A week after their last call, Ryan sent an email that looked perfectly official. It had the logo of Ocean Breeze Estates embossed in gold, a Florida state registration number, and even a digital signature from a legal department. Attached were contracts, 30 pages long, filled with terms like pre-construction phase, escrow, and federal compliance. It looked intimidating, but professional. Tom printed every page, laid them out on the dining table, and read them twice. He couldn't find a single thing that looked wrong. The wiring instructions came next, a bank account listed under Ocean Breeze Development, LLC. The name matched the documents, the address matched the website, and the email header even had a verified checkmark. Ryan said it was a secured holding account. He explained how the funds would be held for 45 days until construction approval was finalized. Tom hesitated. He looked at Linda and said, "It's a lot of money." She smiled softly and replied, "It's our life, Tom. But maybe it's time we start living it." The next morning, Tom walked into his local bank. He'd been banking there for 27 years. The tellers knew his name. He filled out the wire transfer slip, entered $180,000, and sent it to a bank in Miami. He even called Ryan afterward to confirm. Ryan picked up immediately, cheerful as ever. "You're all set, Tom. Congratulations. You got the last Ocean View unit on the east side." Tom laughed. He felt proud. He and Linda had done everything right. Over the next few days, Ryan sent updates. Renderings of construction progress. Emails titled "Inspection Approved" and "Your property is now reserved." Each message made them feel more secure. Then came the virtual keys, a 3D link to their unit. It opened to a beautifully staged living room with sunlight pouring through the windows, waves visible in the distance. Linda almost cried. She took a screenshot and sent it to her sister, saying, "We did it, sis. This is our forever place." For 2 weeks, everything seemed perfect. Ryan even sent them progress photos, workers in hard hats, cranes lifting steel beams, and a banner that read Ocean Breeze Estates, opening soon. Tom and Linda started packing. They sold some furniture, boxed up books, and even called a moving service for quotes. They drove around town telling friends, "We're finally moving to Florida." Then one morning, Linda noticed something strange. An email she sent to Ryan bounced back, address not found. She thought it was a typo. She tried again. Same thing. Tom called his number. The line rang twice, then silence. He tried again. This time, it said, "This number is no longer in service." He checked the website. Error 404. Page not found. The company's Facebook page? Deleted. Their virtual tour link? Gone. A cold, hollow feeling sank into his stomach. Linda stared at him across the table, her face pale. "Maybe it's a system update," she whispered. Tom shook his head slowly. He opened the contract again, rereading every word, hoping to find something, anything, that proved it was real. But as he looked closer, he saw tiny details he'd missed before. Misspelled words. Fake registration codes that didn't match the Florida state database. And that verified email checkmark. Just a simple image embedded in the message. Panic spread through their home like smoke. Tom called the Miami bank, but the money had already been transferred again, this time overseas. He called local authorities, then the FBI fraud division. They told him they'd heard of a similar case, same pattern, same fake company name. 2 weeks later, an agent called to confirm what Tom already knew in his heart. Ocean Breeze Estates never existed. Neither did Ryan Jacobs. The voice, the website, the contracts, the 3D tours, everything had been designed, piece by piece, by a ring of scammers based outside the U.S. They targeted one type of person: retirees. People with savings, hope, and trust. People who still believed that good manners meant good intentions. Tom sat in silence for hours, replaying every moment in his mind. The phone calls. The friendly tone. The way Ryan had said, "You remind me of my parents." Linda cried quietly beside him. She kept saying, "How could we not see it? How could we be so stupid?" But they weren't stupid. They were kind. And kindness, in a world of professional deception, is often what scammers prey on most. When they finally drove to the address listed on the contract, they didn't find a building. They didn't even find construction equipment. Just an open, empty lot, sand, weeds, and a sun-bleached for sale sign that had nothing to do with them. Linda stepped out of the car and stared at the horizon. She whispered, "It's supposed to be here." Tom put his hand on her shoulder, his eyes wet but steady. "I know," he said, "but it never was." In that moment, their dream, the one they'd built for 40 years, vanished like the ocean breeze itself. For the first time in 40 years, Tom Parker didn't know what to do when he woke up. His mornings had always been the same: coffee, the newspaper, the quiet hum of the radio. But now, every sound felt empty. The dining table where the contract once sat was bare, just a faint ring from Linda's coffee cup marking where their dreams used to live. Tom didn't say much those days. He'd sit by the window, staring out at the street, his hands resting on the arm of his chair like a man waiting for something that would never come back. Linda tried to stay busy. She cleaned drawers that didn't need cleaning, folded laundry that was already folded. Sometimes she'd stop mid-task and just stare into space. She'd whisper, "It's my fault, Tom. I told you to go for it. I said it was our time." He'd answer softly, without looking up, "It's not your fault." We both believed him. But deep down, he did blame himself. He'd always been careful with money, kept every receipt, every bank record, every tax form since 1989. He'd taught his students about honesty, integrity, and the importance of hard work. And yet, when it mattered most, he was the one who got fooled. The world outside kept moving. Neighbors waved when they saw him, not knowing what had happened. At church, people congratulated them, "Heard you're moving to Florida." Tom just smiled faintly and said, "Plans changed." Then, one afternoon, the phone rang. It was a woman from the FBI's Cybercrimes Division. Her tone was calm but heavy, the kind of voice that carries bad news for a living. "Mr. Parker, I'm calling regarding your report on Ocean Breeze Estates." Tom sat up straight. "Yes, ma'am. Did you find anything?" There was a pause. "We did." The operation was part of a larger network based overseas. Over $50 million stolen from retirees across multiple states. They used fake names, fake licenses, fake banks. Everything was fabricated. Tom gripped the phone tighter. "So, does that mean we'll get something back?" Another pause. "I'm sorry, sir. The funds were moved through several shell accounts. Most of it is unrecoverable." He didn't respond. He just nodded slowly, even though she couldn't see him. The words "unrecoverable funds" echoed in his head like a bell that wouldn't stop ringing. When he hung up, Linda was standing in the doorway. She didn't ask what the call was about. She already knew. That night, she cried quietly on the couch. Not the kind of crying that shakes a room, but the quiet kind, the kind that fills it with silence. She held one of their Florida brochures in her hands, the edges torn, the colors fading. The photo showed a couple walking on the beach at sunset, smiling, holding hands. "That was supposed to be us," she whispered. Tom took her hand. "It still can be," he said, though he didn't believe it. Days turned into weeks. Bills kept coming. The retirement cushion they'd built over 4 decades was gone. They started dipping into savings meant for health care, then for emergencies, until all that was left was the house itself. Tom sold the lake house first. It wasn't easy. It was the place where they'd taken their kids fishing, where they'd celebrated anniversaries, where they dreamed about retiring. But they had no choice. Linda took a part-time job at the local library, just a few hours a day. At 68, she was checking out books for children whose parents were younger than her own son. She smiled through it, but at night, she came home exhausted, sitting beside Tom in silence. He spent his evenings at the kitchen table, going over old bank statements, highlighting numbers that didn't matter anymore. Sometimes he'd take out the fake contract, still neatly clipped in a folder labeled Florida Move. He couldn't bring himself to throw it away. Every line on that paper was a reminder, not just of what they'd lost, but of what they'd trusted. Friends tried to help. Some offered money, others said, it could have happened to anyone. But Tom knew that wasn't true. It didn't happen to everyone. It happened to people like them. People raised to believe that a man's word meant something. And the cruelest part? Ryan Jacobs didn't just steal their money. He stole their peace. Linda stopped planning trips. Tom stopped talking about the future. They lived day to day, not because they wanted to, but because they had to. Months later, Tom received a letter from the FBI again, a summary of the investigation. It listed 82 victims across the country. Teachers, veterans, small business owners, every one of them retired, every one with the same dream. The letter ended with one line that stuck in his mind. These scams rely on trust, the very thing that makes us human. He folded the letter neatly, placed it in the same folder with the fake contract, and locked it away. That night, as he turned off the lights, he looked at Linda and said quietly, "We'll be okay." She smiled faintly. "I know." But the truth was, they weren't. Not really. Because what they'd lost wasn't just dollars in a bank account. It was the belief that the world was still good, that people still meant what they said, that trust was still safe. And once that's gone, you don't get it back. If it looks perfect online, it's probably not. That sentence isn't meant to scare you, it's meant to steady you. We live in a world where photographs are airbrushed, testimonials can be bought, and a friendly smile can be reproduced on demand. The slick website, the glowing reviews, the drone footage of blue water and palm trees, they are tools made to convince, not proof that something is real. When Tom and Linda clicked buy, they weren't buying only a condo, they were buying a story packaged so neatly that it filled every empty corner of hope they had saved for decades. Dream homes don't vanish overnight, but savings can. Money disappears in ways that aren't dramatic. It slips quietly through wires and across borders, through accounts that show numbers but never the life those numbers once stood for. In the space between a promise and a signature, everything can change. You hand over a check or authorize a wire because the words sound official, because the paperwork looks real, because someone used your own longing against you. The loss isn't only financial. It's the erosion of a future you'd been building slowly, sometimes painfully, for years. So double-check before you trust, because once it's gone forever. Double-check the details that feel small and the things that feel enormous. Verify the developer's license directly through the state. Call the local planning department and ask if construction permits exist. Don't rely on the site's glossy verified badge. Open a new tab and search public records. If someone hands you a contract that looks legal, let a lawyer or your bank review it, especially before wiring large sums. Ask for a physical office address, then go see it if you can. Real projects have real people on the ground and real paperwork in the city clerk's office. Talk to the people who know you best. Bring your children, your siblings, a trusted friend into the conversation. Scammers count on isolation, the quiet moment when decisions are made in private and pressure can be applied without witnesses. If you're excited, that's wonderful. Excitement is part of life. But excitement without another set of eyes is where mistakes get their start. A second opinion is not betrayal, it's prudence. It's the difference between a life-changing purchase and a life-altering mistake. Remember that urgency is a tactic. Only 2 units left, this price ends today, you must act now to secure your spot. These are phrases designed to rush your decision, to silence doubt. Real sellers will wait. Legitimate transactions allow time for questions, for inspection, for the discomfort that comes with large choices. If someone tries to shorten that time, step back. Time is your ally. Scammers hate it because doubt grows with time. Keep records. Save every email, every screenshot, every contract, and every number. If the worst happens, those records are the map investigators need to follow the money. They won't always recover what was lost, but they increase the chances that the perpetrators will be found. Report the fraud quickly to your bank, to local law enforcement, and to federal agencies when relevant. The sooner the trail is chased, the better the chance that money can be frozen or traced before it disappears into the next shell company. Protect your identity. Scams often start small, a deposit here, a verification there, and then swell into something catastrophic. Guard your social security number, your account details, and your passwords. Use two-factor authentication whenever possible. Be suspicious of anyone who asks you to move money to a personal account, to buy gift cards, or to use non-standard payment methods. Those are red flags. Real businesses take payments through secure, well-known channels and provide receipts that match official business names. Teach and learn. Share this story with neighbors, book groups, church friends, and anyone else in your circle. Stories are how communities protect themselves. When one person speaks up about what happened, it shines a light on the next scheme before it reaches another family. Talk openly about money with your children and grandchildren. Let them ask questions and offer help. Younger relatives may be digital natives who can spot the fakes you can't, and your wisdom can save them from their own pitfalls. Rebuild what you can, but accept what you can't change. Loss is a teacher even when it's cruel. Tom and Linda's life after the scam was not the life they had planned, but it was still theirs. They found ways to live within new limits, to laugh again over small dinners, to find work that gave them meaning rather than just income. They volunteered, they warned others, and they found a new kind of security in being useful to those around them. Money can be replaced slowly. Trust, once broken, takes longer to mend. Be patient with yourself if you feel that sting. It's not weakness, it's a human response to betrayal. For those of you who are caregivers, children, or friends of seniors, take a proactive role. Sit with your loved ones while they review major decisions, help them research offers that sound too good, and encourage them to bring every contract to a trusted professional. Sometimes the kindest act is to ask a question that seems small and might stop a scam in its tracks. Be vigilant without being accusatory. Preserving dignity while protecting finances is a delicate balance, but it is essential. Finally, keep faith in the idea that the world is still full of honest people. Courts do convict fraudsters, regulators do create better protections, and communities do look out for one another. Use this story not as an argument for paranoia but as a plea for awareness. Wear your caution like a light sweater, comfortable, sensible, and always there when the breeze picks up. You worked your whole life to build something solid. That work deserves both celebration and protection. So before you sign, before you wire, before you say yes to something that sounds perfect online, stop and ask, who benefits if this goes wrong? Who answers when questions arise? Where is the physical address? Who else has written about this project outside the site's testimonials? If the answers don't come easily or the contact becomes evasive, walk away. Trust your gut, and let verification be your final voice. Your peace of mind was earned the same way your savings were, patiently, carefully, through years of steady choices. Protect both with the same care. Double-check before you trust, because once it's gone forever.